There are certain things in life that just make you scratch your head when you hear them, but they don't surprise you because you know that at the end of the day, most people on this planet are largely guided by their paycheck. Most people will typically, fortunately or unfortunately, allow paycheck to dictate decisions. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about this absolutely insane situation in which Nneka Ogwumike, the president of the WNBPA, has signed to play for Project B. Again, what kind of stupid name is that? So the league is going to be called Project B, which is I don't know, but signs with this Project B new women's basketball league set to launch next fall, which is being backed by Saudi money, Saudi Arabia. Now, for people that walk around puffing their chest and telling you how what activists they are and preaching all this nonsense, let's take a step back and look at what's actually happening here. They're showing their face because at the end of the day, they're guided by a paycheck. They don't really believe anything they stand on, which is why people like me and many other podcasters and people in general don't respect the WNBA players because there's nothing to respect when you don't have a backbone. There's nothing to respect when you're guided by your check at all times. They're in the midst of a CBA negotiation, and here you've got two vice presidents in Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier who have a league called Unrivaled. If you're not familiar with it by now, they have a league called Unrivaled. And I'm sure most of you who are watching me are very familiar with it. Unrivaled is a 3-on-3 basketball league that has had some fake valuation numbers created based on horrible viewership, horrible ratings, poor play, and is now part of the major conversation when it comes to this CBA. And now you have this second league, Project B, which is, by their word, led by Skype co founder Jeff Prentice and former Facebook executive Grady Burnett, funded by um, much as a partnership with Sella, an entertainment company owned by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. So there's Saudi money involved in this. So you're taking checks from Saudi Arabia? Is that what we're saying here? Where these women who jump on a wall and talk about their activism and women's rights are taking a check from Saudi Arabia? I mean, the hypocrisy of it all is unreal. The what's the other word? The conflict of interest has become crazy. So now you have the president of the WNBPA, Nneka Ogwumike, signing with this league. So you have and they will sit here and tell you there's no conflict of interest. Oh, by the way, welcome back to another edition of Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Show. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all jumping on board. I can't get over this. Like I can't. I mean, it is what it is. But you always knew they were fake. You always knew they were fake, and you knew that they would jump the second a check shows up. But the conflicts of interest that are involved in all these situations is craziness. I have a league. I don't want you to play in other leagues. You're under contract to my team. You can have a million other jobs, but one of them cannot be playing basketball in another league where I gotta hope and pray that you don't get injured when you're not playing in my league because I don't get my money back or or relief from the cap if you get hurt playing somewhere else. But this league is being funded by Saudi money, bro. Yeah, there are investors like Candace Parker, Steve Young, Novak Djokovic, and Sloane Stevens. I guess we just forgot about the women's rights issue in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I don't know. Uh, really? Like we don't. I mean, let's just take a look right now at what the laws are, what women can and can't do, what they can and can't do in Saudi Arabia as of October 8th of 2025. It's crazy. So in 2018, Saudi women were allowed to drive in the kingdom for the first time. Saudi Arabian women could not drive a car until 7 years ago. And you thought the situation in this country with voting rights was an issue. They couldn't drive a car. Restrictions on traveling abroad were loosened a year later, allowing women over the age of 21 to apply for a passport and leave the kingdom without the permission of a male guardian. This is 6 years ago. And since 2021, women have been permitted to go to Mecca. Oh, what an honor to perform Hajj. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's something religious without a male relative as long as they are traveling with other women. They can't go alone. Human rights have highlighted instances of targeted travel restrictions, though, with Amnesty International claiming female activists have been subjected to travel bans, both official and unofficial, in some cases lasting several years. The concept of guardianship or wilaya is deeply rooted in Islamic doctrine, taking different forms in different countries over time. In Saudi Arabia, this traditionally meant that every woman had a wali, a male guardian who makes decisions on her behalf. Typically, her father and then her husband after marriage, although guardians can be brothers, sons, uncles. Can you imagine your son is your guardian? Uncles, or even male judges. This has meant that women were essentially treated as minors for their entire lives. There has been some reform since 2019. Oh, what a nice country you guys are. Women aged over 21, they no longer. Okay, let's move on. Um, see where else. Marriage. Saudi Arabia has made some efforts to reform marriage-related laws, but the influence of guardianship and traditional customs remains significant. Touted as progressive change, the PSL, which was introduced on International Women's Day in 2022, actually codifies many traditional Islamic rules, including those on marriage and divorce, into law. While this improves equal treatment by preventing judges from using their own individual interpretation of Islamic principles to make rulings on family matters, it nevertheless enshrined discrimination against women's rights into the legal code. So now women legally need the permission of a male guardian to marry or divorce. And married women are required by law to obey their husband in a reasonable manner. Oh my God. Or risk losing their right to financial support. Neither husband nor wife can abstain from sex without their spouse's consent. The, ooh, boy. Custody and guardianship. Historically, the Saudi approach to child custody after divorce has been inconsistent. Under Islamic rules, the father remains the legal guardian, but the mother retains custody until a boy is 7 or a girl reaches puberty. However, judges tended to interpret the rules very differently, resulting in unpredictable decisions that were often more unfavorable to mothers. The PSL has ironed out those inconsistencies. It codifies classic Islamic rule on parental responsibility, designating the father as the guardian of the child, but giving mothers an assumed right to primary custody. Da, 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 da. Children of either sex can stay with their custodial parent until they are 15 and can then choose which parent to live with. The PSL also overrides a judicial tradition, which tended to remove children from their mother's custody if she were married. The new legislation allows a woman to retain custody if her remarriage is not deemed to be against the child's interest. Women's education has undergone significant transformation over the past few decades. Uh, Education is a key part of Vision 2030, and the literacy rate for Saudi women aged 15 to 24 was close to 100% in 2017, compared to 50% in 1992. Wow. By 2018, women made only 15% of Saudi Arabia's total workforce. The number is now 34.5. Wow, they're so progressive. They're so progressive. Yeah, man. Life for Saudi women has rapidly transformed, and the country has made historic strides in terms of female access without a male escort to public spaces, including concerts, cinemas, and sporting events. The black abaya, a full-length, loose-fitting robe, and niqab, full-face veil, were once emblematic of the restrictions placed on Saudi Arabian women, and those who strayed from this dress code were subject to harassment from religious police. However, the Crown Prince bin Salman has repeatedly emphasized that the abaya and head coverings are not mandatory. In a 2018 interview with U.S. news program 60 Minutes, he said Saudi men and women alike should wear decent, respectful clothing in accordance with cultural and religious norms, but that beyond yeah. The vast majority of Saudi women continue to wear the abaya with and a head covering. You wonder why that is, being that everything seemingly is interpreted in this country a certain way based on the opinion of that person. So they have a few more rights than they had even 7 years ago. So congratulations. They're a wonderful country to live in. Here's the reality. Here's the reality. There is mad discrimination in Saudi Arabia against women just for being women, not even for anything other than being women. I mean, can you imagine if women in this country were told who they could marry, who they if they could get divorced? I mean, these insane things. It's kind of crazy. Don't have a freedom of movement, can't go anywhere without permission type shit. It's bananas. But this is what these women in this country go through. And the WNBA players who, if you heard of this in America, would lose their shit, right? They would lose their shit. They would lose it. They would go out of their minds. And instead, it's in Saudi. Who cares? I get a check. I get a check. Remember how crazy they went over that owner of the Atlanta Dream to get her out of there? And I mean, in Saudi Arabia, she couldn't own the Atlanta Dream. Like, come on. This is craziness. But again, the hypocrisy of these women is in your face. The conflict of interest remains in your face. They think that they're going to strong arm the WNBA. There's a reason the WNBA does not want to have these women playing in other leagues. If you want me to pay you a certain amount of money, well, guess what? You're going to do the way I want you to do it, or you're not going to play in my league. You don't have the right to play in the WNBA. That's the one thing that people constantly forget. There are no rights to playing in a sporting league. I don't have to let you play in it. When players get suspended, they get suspended. There's no right. Like, you can do whatever you want. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. Go try taking it to court. It's going to cost you millions and you're going to lose at the end. But it's funny. You have three people in the executive board of the WNBPA who are completely compromised as far as ethically, conflict of interest. And this is all about them. It's all about them. And it also shows to you that all their civil rights movements, because these are all civil rights that women in Saudi Arabia do not have. Civil rights in Saudi Arabia don't truly exist. All the things that they may have changed, I promise you, it ain't changed that much. It has not changed that much. And Nneka Ogwumike is sitting here signing with a league that's backed by Saudi investments, which means it's coming from Saudi. It's coming from the government. People can lie about it. It's like these boxing events that are happening in Saudi, and now Saudi's funding boxing events in America. And we've all just ignored the fact of all the atrocities that have gone on for so many years. They'll sit here and tell you that it's equal. It's not. There's no equality there. I mean, there's not even close. It's not even close to being equal. Like if you have problems with the way women are treated in this country, are you kidding? In that country, forget about it. Forget about it. I don't even know what it is in terms of if men can have like multiple situations, you know. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts, man. Let me know what you think. They're hypocrites. These players in the WNBA are hypocrites. They're shit, bro. They're largely almost all of them are largely shit. They're compromised. They're ethically unsound. They're hypocrites. They have conflicts of interest. Nothing with the WNBA players is above board, but they're gonna have you believe that they're being mistreated by the WNBA, while the WNBA is trying to give them a raise that would increase their salaries by almost 400%. Like, y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. This is Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. Powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.